Welcome to Fly on the Wall podcast. I'm your host, Chris Sonksen, CEO and founder of Church Boom. Here you get to sit in on a live coaching session as I coach pastors through the ministry challenges we all face. If you find this podcast helpful, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining today's podcast. We're talking with my good friend, Pastor Steve, and we're talking about getting the right people in the right place. And that's such an important part of ministry, getting people in the right position, in the right place in ministry. Otherwise, they'll experience burnout, and you'll experience people kind of going through ministry and starting and quitting, and we're going to figure out how to do that together in today's podcast. Also want to remind you to check out churchboom.org. If you are a pastor, one of the most important things you can do is belong to a tribe, a group of pastors that are all moving in the same direction. That's why we created Church Boom Network, a place where monthly you get on a Zoom call with other pastors that are like-minded, you grow together, develop together. We get together 1 to 2 times a year live. We all fly in and we hang out together. It is an amazing network, Church Boom Network. You can find it at churchboom.org. It actually doesn't cost anything. It's absolutely free. All you have to do is help us rescue churches, and we'll explain that on the website. But I encourage you, if you belong to a denomination, or you don't belong to a denomination, but you don't in your heart feel like, man, I don't have a tribe, a group of guys that we're running together. That's what Church Boom Network is all about. So check out Church Boom Network on our website, churchboom.org. But let's jump into today's conversation. Man, how can I serve you today? What's on your mind? What's on your heart?
Well, obviously, we're a smaller church at the moment. We kind of did a reset this last year and a half where we literally, kind of shut the doors. It was a risk, had about 250, 300 people at that time. And honestly, even though we did, I don't think we were healthy. And so it's posed a lot of questions now. I don't think I did a great job in staff development, leadership development. I'm just being very honest. Had great dreams, great visions, but I just don't think I did a really good job. And so when I met you and learned about this, I was so excited because I really believe that I do have the dream and the vision, but I think I lack some elements.
Yeah.
And listening to you talking to you has been a great blessing and you watching the videos on Church Boom, we've been sharing with the church. It's been helpful to us, really serious, helpful stuff. So for me, there's maybe some basic stuff that may seem too basic for some, but are very important to me. And one of the first ones I think about is we're in the process of developing staff right now and to have some good people, but we're in the very small process. So I'm keeping people motivated, is a little bit challenging. I can't give anyone a salary right now, I try my best, but I don't know if what I'm doing is right. So I was just kind of wondering if you can give me some thoughts on ways to motivate people that aren't being salaried, that aren't being paid, they're volunteering. And does that make sense? Is that a good question, I hope?
Yep. Well, no, it's fine. The question, any question is good if it helps you. Are you talking about developing the staff or just keeping them motivated, or both?
The next one would be my next question had to do with development.
So let's talk about motivation then.
Yeah.
Okay, let's stay on motivation. So here's the thing about motivated is everybody. Here's the thing that's important, especially in a bivocational pastor like yourself. Everybody wants to get paid, and for instance, if I work for a guy painting, he paints houses, and I work for him all week long. And he says, "Oh man, I didn't bring the check today." Okay, if he pulls that same thing again next week, I don't want to work with him anymore because he didn't pay me. Obviously, in the church world, in volunteer staff, volunteer leaders, our pay isn't money. Our pay is fruit. And what happens is our job as leaders to make sure that we're paying our team members fruit. Now, what is fruit? It's showing that lives are being changed, that people are coming to Christ, that good things are happening, that people are being delivered, or whatever it is that's going on in the ministry. We're showing them the fruit. I think that often when you have volunteer staff, volunteer kind of high-level leaders, what we do is we make the mistake and assume that they know what we know, that they have heard the same stories that we heard. And so they are serving in the ministry for a week or 2 or 4 or 8 or 12 weeks go by, and they're getting no report on what their work is producing.
Yeah, very good.
So you work, you want to get paid with a check. I work, I want to get paid with a check. In the church world, any volunteer wants to work, but get paid with fruit. They want to see that their work matters. So what you have to do is you have to create a system that you follow and remind yourself, because good intentions aren't good enough, Steve.
I know that, buddy.
Yeah.
I've learned
So
that.
you can have good intentions, and then all of a sudden, you ever done that before where you're like, yeah, just last week, and then you realize, no, that was actually 4 months ago. We always say last week or recently, and we realize it was a year ago. The same thing is with helping people with seeing the value of their work. So here's what I'm saying is, you can't just say, I'm going to, once in a while, I'll make sure the people make sure that the people on my team are realizing the value of their work. You got to make it a regular thing. Like, what if every Friday you did a 60-second, 90-second video and sent it out to all your volunteers? Okay. Hey, like it, just on your phone. I got my phone right here. Hey, this is Pastor Steve. Just wanted to say, appreciate you guys. Look forward to seeing you Sunday. And by the way, I just got off the phone with someone in our church, man. They have they, given their life to Christ. Man, this just happened. Someone told me they got to pray with their children, led their own children to the Lord. Someone was, bound up with a bunch of addictions. And man, over the last 6 weeks, God's delivering them. Whatever it is, 60 seconds or less, 90 seconds at the most. Just quick and to the point. Hey, this is Pastor Steve, man. Hope everything is going well. Just want to give you a Friday report. I want to let you know that this amazing thing happened very quick. And then you're just like, I want to say thank you to all of you. You're doing your whole little phone thing. I want to say thank you to all of you. You're amazing. None of this would happen without you. Thanks for the way that you serve. Thanks for all that you do. I love you so much. This is one example of what your help and your volunteering and your leadership is creating. I love you guys. I'll see you Sunday.
Yeah, that's great, man.
That's
I appreciate that.
That's just one little thing to constantly put fruit in front of people. And if you're not putting fruit in front of people, then you're not paying them. If they're not paying them, then they don't want to work.
Right. And I got some good people, man. I got some good people. And I haven't heard no complaints I'm just thinking, I want to bless them. I want them to know that I appreciate them. So that's really honestly great, man.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
And you could do it that way. That's one way, a Friday video. You can also make sure to have something to share on Sunday. Do you guys have a little huddle before services or anything like that? Okay. If you have any of your leaders there, let someone else share. Like before you pray, hey, so-and-so's got a little story they want to say. They tell a little 1-minute story. Again, now it's a different voice saying, look what's happened. And now they're constantly hearing it from different voices without them realizing it. This is all that is happening because of you. Figure out different ways to do it. And I'm telling you, the people will serve with joy and they'll stay motivated, which was your question.
Right. Okay. Great.
Yep. What else you got?
Okay. Right now, because like I said, we've just kind of we've relaunched this last couple months publicly. Mm-hmm. And even though we're not a new church, we are new in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. I mean, a very lot of ways. We used to meet quite regularly with the team and the staff. But at that time also we had salary and the staff. So I'm trying to be considerate and honor the people's time. I know they want to give time, but I'm also trying to be considerate of their time. I know they want to be with their families some. So about staff meetings or leadership meetings, because we don't pay them and they're not there Monday morning to do one at 7:00. So any thoughts or ideas on maybe the frequency or some thoughts about, because when I do my staff, it's kind of real short. It's about victories and defeats. We kind of talk about those together, but then I feel like there's a time we need to talk about business stuff too. And I just don't want to overload, and I'm worried about that.
Yep. Well, I don't know who you have regarding your staff. I'm assuming it's 5 or 6 people, 7 people.
Yeah. It's about 8 people.
8 people. Okay. So they're in charge of children, worship, whatever. Bring them together. I think if they're volunteer staff, you can come up with any combination. I don't know if at your size you have to do it every week, but I wouldn't do it less than every other week. Okay. I think you just need to stay in contact with them. And one of them. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was
gonna say, maybe,
I hear that.
Yeah. But maybe one of them Zoom. The second week of the month is Zoom, and the fourth week of the month is live.
Wow. Thank you. Honestly, that's exciting to hear, because that's what we talked about a little bit, and I said, I'm feeling like that it don't need to be once a month, but so how about if we do this? So that's kind of cool, because I actually said, what if we do Zoom once and then meet once? And they were
Yeah,
like, so
perfect.
thank
There
you,
you
bud.
go.
That's
There
perfect,
you
man.
go. Well, there you go. Confirmation. Victories, defeats. That's great. Some church business. Let's work on this. Also, I would add, if you can probably carve about 15, 20 minutes in there. You can do staff development by just simply taking them through a leadership book together.
Okay.
And it is my favorite thing to do is like, hey guys, here's a book on leadership, and we're not talking about a discipleship book. We're talking about a leadership book. Here's a book on leadership. Here's a book on growing churches. Here's a book on what healthy churches do. Here's a book on whatever. You give the book out. Hey, by our next staff meeting, let's make sure we all read chapter 1 and 2. So you have your staff meeting at the very end. You're like, hey, we got about 20 minutes left. Let's go over chapter 1 and 2. And all you do is it'll take a while for them to catch the rhythm of it. But the way you do that, in my world, we call that a leadership circle, but it's the moment where you're having a moment in that circle and you're asking a couple questions. You're just like, hey, what did you get out of chapter 1? Okay, everybody talks about it. What was the favorite part of chapter 1? And what should happen over time is, on page 10 it said this. On page 19 it said, oh man, that really challenged me. Man, that really got me thinking. I never thought about that. Okay, 5-7 minutes on that. Another 5-7 minutes. What'd you get out of chapter 2? Say you do 2 chapters every time. Maybe you only do 1 chapter, whatever you want to do. But you spend 5-8 minutes. What did you think about that? Oh, I like page. Let them talk. Everybody's just talking. It's like a small group. When you're done, whatever amount of time you give it, when you're done talking about chapter 1, or if you do 2 chapters, 1 and 2, whatever. Hey, I love page 9, page 19. This was really cool. Whatever, whatever. Everybody's talking about it. You conclude it with this. There's 8 people in the room. You go, okay, 2 questions I want to ask everybody. Every time you do this, what's the biggest thing you learned and what are you going to do about it? Then you go to the next person. What's the biggest thing you learned and what are you going to do about it? Then you go to the next question. Biggest thing you learned, what are you going to do about it? Now we're applying what we learned to our life. It is a simple, ongoing way, as long as you're consistent with it, to constantly develop your team. You're going through a leadership book together. You're talking about growing as a team, developing as a team, how to make our ministry better, how to be healthier, how to be this, that, and the other thing. You're talking about it and you're applying it. You don't have to create the lesson. All you got to do is make sure you come there with chapter 1 and 2 read and go through it together. I'm telling you, it is the simplest, easiest way to continually develop and for them to feel like you're pouring into them, which adds a lot of value to their life.
Well, that's awesome because I've actually been looking at some of the books that you have available, and in reading, starting to read one of them, I thought, man, I'd like to go through this. So that becomes, I didn't know how do you get them all reading it together. So that's actually a good thought right there.
Yeah, there you go. Just buy a book for everybody and go through it. It's pretty simple.
And by the way, I just say to you, man, the stuff that I'm accessing, the simplicity is so simple. Our people have loved it. I mean, it's actually been awesome for us. It really has.
Awesome.
It's so simple, and so, but the planning, it's just, I just want to tell you, man, it's been really helpful.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I just really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for saying that. It's really kind.
And I do have another thought, another question.
Please.
Especially since we're really starting to move now. I mean, just this last 2 weeks, we're really starting to gear towards launching and moving. I know I've learned to not put more on the plate than I can do because I don't want to do about 10 things half well. I want to do what I do well. So we've been very disciplined on that. Yeah. But I really believe we're going to start growing. And as we grow, I think one of the things I've had in the past that I've been a challenge with, and I'm just trying to be transparent. I don't want to put myself down, but I mean, is that I don't know that I've done well at placing people exactly where they need to be.
Okay.
So I guess it's development. Look, is there some help you can give me, some guidance on, some thoughts on, like, for instance, I know if you're obviously don't work with children, don't put them with children. But how to learn as you're learning these leadership, you realize, wow, they're not doing great there. Maybe they do great. Any thoughts or help on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Would you say? Well, let me follow up with a question. Would you say it is more often you're putting them in the wrong position, or more often that you're putting a leader? Oh, sorry, let me rephrase that. Is it more often that you're putting the person in the wrong position, or is it more often that you're putting a person in a leadership position that really isn't a leader?
Yeah, I've done that. That was probably more my problem in the past, and I won't do. Yep. I really have determined not to do that because this is this was a challenge for me, Pastor. I would see potential in people, And I was wrong. I learned it doesn't work. I've even talked to Pastor Bo about this, is that I used to think, man, they'll step up to this. Well, what I
Yeah.
learned is they don't.
Right.
They don't really step up to it. And so that's
Yep.
kind of where my questions come from. I don't want to, even though they have potential, I want to put people in the right place that's beneficial for them, even though they may think it's beneficial to be somewhere else. I don't know how to necessarily recognize and develop and implement that. I didn't know if there was some.
Right.
I mean, I hope that's not a confusing question, man.
No, it's not. So, no, it's not at all. I just wanted to get clear. And I think it's a little bit of both, it sounds like. Sometimes I put people in the wrong position, and sometimes I put people in a position that maybe they're not leaders. I do see that a lot, Steve, that of the backside of that statement is that I see guys that, and they admit it, they're like, man, I put this person in a position of leadership. They're not doing a good job. And then I'll ask them, are they really a leader? Did you just put a person in there because they were faithful? Or did you put the person in there because they're an actual leader?
Which
Faithful's
is a challenge
great.
when you have a small group, as you know.
It
It's
is.
a challenge.
It is. Oh, I know. I know. I get it. But that's a mistake that we make. Sometimes we put people into a position. It's like, they're not a leader. And now that they're not a leader, they're frustrated. You're frustrated. Now you might have to get them out of that leadership position, which is going to upset them. So now you got a whole nother problem because we did that. Or sometimes it's in the position. So let's talk about the position. One of the biggest things is, I'll just talk about this part of it, and then there's a second part. First part is just passion. What are they passionate about? People don't burn out in their strengths. People burn out in their weaknesses. And so where are they most passionate about? What is natural for them? What's their natural strength? What is the thing that they enjoy the most? Okay. That is one part of it. Okay. Are they passionate? Do they have that natural drive for it? The other part of that is the natural leadership part. Someone might have a passion for children or whatever, I don't know, next generation, but it's like, man, they've got no leadership skill whatsoever. None. Yeah. And so they have passion, but they're passionate without leadership skills. And now we put them into a position and we end up with a problem. The one thing that I do, here's the one thing I'll explain it real quick. And I've done this a couple of times, and you might have heard this on the podcast, but I do a thing called task, project, position. Task is what is, let's say that I don't know, let's say I'm a children's pastor and I want to raise up a leader. I'm a good-sized church. I'm a children's pastor. I want to raise up a really strong leader. And I look at someone that I think is really strong. If I want to give them, without telling them, a task. Okay. Now just stay with me. Okay, so say, Susie, I'm going to give you this task. The task is that we're having a children's workers picnic. Whatever, I don't know. So you got to get the barbecue and you got to reserve a bounce house. And she's like, okay, I checked with her a week or two before. She's got the barbecue. She got the bounce house. I know she can do a task. Now watch this. Task. The next one was project. Project includes the use of people. So now it's, Susie, we're going to do a children's workers picnic. Okay. I need you to get the food and I need you to get the bounce house. There's the task. But I also need you to, now the second one, I also need you to raise up to get 15 volunteers outside of the children's ministry to run the bounce houses and cook the food. I checked with her 2 weeks before. She's got the food, she's got the bounce house, but she doesn't have the 15 people. She's like, I tried, I can't get anybody. No one wants to sign up. I got my husband to help me. Okay, that tells me she's really good at tasks, but she can't rally people. She can't get people on a team. Now, if she tells me, hey, I got the food, I got the bounce house, and I got 15 people, that tells me she can do the task, but she can rally people. And she's got it. She knows how to rally people. She knows how to get people on the right team. That tells me, now we go to the third part, that tells me she has potential for a position. But what we do, now watch this. Task, project, position. We honor people for the task, skip project, and go right to position. Did you catch that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
We skip. Yeah. So it's like, oh, Sister Susie's faithful. Sister Susie got the food there. Sister Susie got the bounce house there. Let's make her a leader. She's not a leader because she didn't show in the project that she could rally people. And you have to figure out a way that works for you. Not only do I think people need to be passionate, but you got to ask the question, passionate in an area, otherwise you put them in the wrong area. But they also got to ask the question, can they actually lead? Can they get people on their side? I always say there's likable, capable, gravitational. Someone's likable. People like Susie. She's capable. She knows about children's ministry. She knows how to get food and a bounce house. But is she gravitational? Can she get people on her team? That's what you got to ask. So it's two sides. Am I putting in the person in the right spot? Passion. And are they actually really a leader, or am I setting them up for failure?
Right. Okay.
And that, I think that second part is most difficult. Now, smaller the church, the more difficult that becomes. I realize that. And I realize sometimes you're choosing the lesser of two, I don't say evils, but you know what I mean. Like,
no, I know what you mean.
This one's a little bit better than this one, but they're both not that good. And so that gets a little difficult. I realize that, and you got to navigate that. But keep in mind, Steve, that you got to find people that are passionate about that area, but you got to find people that they know how to make things happen. And honestly, I would rather have 4 staff members that just know how to make it happen than 8 staff members that they don't ever seem to make things happen. I'd rather have 4 stallions that run than 8 horses that stand in the lane and do nothing, right, or do very little, or I got to push them, or I got to motivate them. I got to keep them going. I'd rather have 4 or 5 that are just killing it for me.
Right.
You'll get a lot more done that way.
Tied to that, I've had a thought, which I didn't do this in the past, but about, because I'm at the beginning stages, maybe whenever someone's invited to come alongside and help in something, say, hey, why don't we do this for 2 or 3 months and let's see how it's going. I never did that in the past. It's like once they did it, it's like they were eternally doing it in their minds.
Right.
You know, so is that something you think that, I think it would be wise, but I don't know from experience, I've never done it. Since I've been doing this remake, I'm thinking, well, maybe I should let people know, hey, this isn't forever. Even if it's in the leadership position, my thought, let's just say 3-4 months and then see what it looks like. Is that any thoughts on that?
I think that, yes, I do. I like that. I call it, you know the term beta testing.
Okay.
If there's a way, everything that you said, if there is a way to do that without, it might need to be, hey, let's go 3 months and then we'll talk about it. That's true. But there are some times when you can do that 3-month trial without them knowing it's a 3-month trial. And here's how. I just did it with a new employee.
Yeah.
So someone I wanted to hire. I said, hey, we have for the next 3 months, we have major tasks that need to be done. I'm wondering if you can help me for the next 3 months and get all these tasks done, and I'll pay you a certain amount of money. Now, it's a pay position. I get the difference. But the point is, you'll see what I'm saying is, at the end of 3 months, I either A, which I did, say, man, you did awesome. And by the way, how would you just like to join the team because you did so good? And they did. Or B, man, you did good for the last 3 months. Even if they didn't do that good, I'll be like, thanks so much. Here's your check. You did awesome. Their feelings aren't hurt. No tough conversation. They never even thought it was anything past 3 months. They just thought they were helping me during a window. I do that all the time. That way, at the end of the 3 months, I either invite them on the team or I say, thanks, man. That was a great 90 days. You crushed it. Here's your check. God bless you. No feelings are hurt. I'm not saying that you can always do it that way, but when there's a chance to do it that way, that beta testing helps.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. Anyway. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah. Anything else, man? Those are great questions.
No, not. Those are most of the major ones. That I think about the staff development and the book will help because like I said, I started reading a couple of your books. I made a mistake of starting a couple of them. And so I'm kind of that dog that goes, oh, rabbit, I read one, I like that. And then I read another one. So I'm trying to be a little more disciplined there. But I think that's pretty much some of the major ones right now that I've been thinking about.
No worries, man. I'm always here to help, and anything I can ever do to serve you, Steve, please let me know. And man, I really appreciate you taking time to be on the podcast today.
Well, thank you so much. And once again, Pastor, I'm not just saying this. I want you to know that those little videos that are 3 to 8 minutes long, I'm gonna say it again, they have just been dynamic. So it's like a breath of fresh air. Maybe I was desperate and I didn't know it. I don't know, but it just was so cool, and just the way they're put together, not too long, not too short, and engaging people, and we're excited about it. And so we're trying to incorporate everybody into that and see those things and be a part of the team. I mean, it was kind of cool. We've been doing it and a couple of our leaders couldn't be there, just work reasons. And so at the last meeting, my wife looked at me and she said, "Hey, can you get those videos to them?" And I'm like, "I don't know." I don't know if I can. I've just been doing it myself, but that's the type of excitement out of those things. It was like, hey, can we get those to them? It was helpful. And so
That's
I just
awesome.
thought I'd share that with you. That I think
Awesome.
they've been pretty powerful.
Good. Well, hey, that's what Church Boom's here for, just to help pastors, and that's what I'm here for. So whatever we can do to serve you, man, that's what we're here for.
Well, I love you, buddy. I'm so glad I got to meet you. I'm so glad I got to meet you, man. It's all part of the destiny and the dream of where we're going. So thank you.
Amen. Amen. Have a good day, my man.
Blessings to you, Pastor.
All right. Bye-bye. Hey, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast with my friend, Pastor Steve, and man, just talking about the right people in the right place, such an important part of ministry. I want to remind you again to check out churchboom.org. And if you do not have a tribe, even if you belong to a denomination, but you don't have a tribe that you feel like, man, I've got 10 guys, we're all going in the right direction. That's what Church Boom Network's all about. You get into a group of about 10 guys, you get together monthly, you talk, you interact, exchange ideas. We get together in person a couple times a year. It is belonging to a tribe. Even if you belong to a denomination, but you don't feel like you belong to a tribe, this is a tribe that you can run with, and that's why we created it. So go to churchboom.org and check out Church Boom Network and join the tribe. I think you will absolutely love it. And we'll see you next time on the Fly on the Wall podcast.